Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out I Don't Work Here Lady. Story 1. Why are you yelling? I wear black. Black jeans, black t-shirts, black jackets, black shoes. It could definitely be mistaken for a uniform at places like Sephora, or Victoria's Secret, where the dress code is black. That being said, I was going through my massive haul at Ross over the winter, where my preferred color of clothing is back on the racks, and all the pastels are finally gone. I'm standing in front of the dressing room going through my cart, near the registers, when I hear someone yelling at somebody. First I assumed it was a couple customers, and didn't pay attention. The last thing I need is to get into the middle of a domestic while I'm sifting through crop tops that say cute but weird, and slay, your enemies. So I'm going through my stuff, about to go in the dressing room, and I notice the yelling is particularly directed in my direction. Some lady is yelling, "Why are you ignoring me? They need help at the cashiers. There's a long line. Why aren't you helping?" To which I turn around and look behind me like Vince from Pulp Fiction. WTF? Who is she talking to? The other customers are looking at me and back at her, and I realize she's talking to me. I finally make sure contact with her and she says, "Oh. Now you pay attention. We've been standing in line forever, waiting on you." Me? I gesture. Yeah. Do your job. Well, I'm a dama, so I figure she doesn't actually want me to do my job in the middle of a family outlet, so I laugh. She gets furious, and walks over to me and starts yelling. Leaves the line to come yell in my 6 feet 2 inches face. At this point I must humiliate her as publicly as possible. So, I quietly grab my clothes and walk into the dressing room, and shut the door in her face. LOL. Another worker walks up to her and says, "You can't harass our customers, ma'am, put your cart here, and we're going to ask you to leave." The lady starts screaming. Wants a manager. That I'm out of line. So the worker says it's just me, the manager, and the one cashier. This lady in the room is a customer. She doesn't work here. They escorted her out without her cart. LOL. Story 2. I can't work everywhere, can I? Forgive me if this isn't the right place for this. I don't frequently post on Reddit, primarily just a passive scroller. Please let me know if I need to make any edits or if I am breaking any rules and I'll fix it. I have been asked questions from random patrons in completely random types of retail stores, restaurants, corporate offices that aren't mine, car dealerships, etc. You name it, I have probably been asked if I work there, or asked a question by a patron assuming I work there without even thinking about it. Recently, I was in a Target store in my city just picking up some snacks for the road trip I was going on the next day. I am wearing a blue t-shirt, joggers, and black sneakers. Thankfully, this was not a rude patron. I was approached and asked, "Excuse me, do you work here?" I ask because of the blue shirt you're wearing in Target. Completely ignoring the fact that I had a basket full of road tripping snacks, mind you. I take about 10 seconds to calmly respond with, "No, I don't work here." 10 seconds to give them a chance to think about what they just said, and think about, does this make sense? I just walk away with my items awkwardly and no longer acknowledging this person and their presence. Also recently, I was walking around a department store looking through some shorts to try on. Here, in this store, I am wearing a golf shirt, shorts, and a pair of loafers. While browsing and holding a pair I ended up trying on and buying, I hear a random "Could you help check out so I can leave" while being tapped on my shoulder. I take a very long stare at this man, just thinking to myself, what the hell about anything I'm wearing gives you any indication that I work here before simply stating that I did not work there. The immediate response from this clearly confused man is, "Well, what am I supposed to do if you don't work here and can't help me?" And I just immediately walk away, mildly annoyed at the sheer confusion of this clueless soul. At a car dealership, I had an appointment to have my car serviced for an oil change as well as a couple of maintenance-related items. I'm sitting in the waiting room while waiting on the mechanics to finish working on my car. I'm working on my work laptop while wearing a collared short-sleeve shirt that had the name of my company on it, slacks, and a pair of loafers. Just completely minding my own business getting some work done, when out of nowhere I hear what sounds like a Karen yelling, "Get me your manager," with several footsteps approaching me and what I assume to be an employee trying to calm this person down. I try to ignore it until I feel breathing directly in my face, and this woman is standing directly over me in the chair, furious about over something, of which I am not sure. I try to ignore this woman until she yells out at me, "Are you just going to sit there? Your employee is being extremely rude and I deserve a discount, give IT to me, now." I just simply respond with, "Do I know you? I don't work here, please leave me alone." By this point, enough employees at the dealership had come over to separate this woman from the other employee there, and I roll my eyes at her as she is escorted out of the building and she continued to point at me and yell something. I wasn't able to make it out as it was unintelligible. This only a few of these countless occasions. I honestly mind it a lot less if the person asking happens to be polite and friendly, however it's still fairly annoying in my view since it just seems to be that nobody is walking through the logic of if this random somebody works here based on their attire. None of these made sense in my view, and understand that it's only a minor inconvenience to me, but I simply find these unsolicited asks to be irritating. Does anybody else here experience this on a regular basis the way I do? I'm genuinely curious. Story 3. ChatGPT generated IDWITEL. I never thought a simple trip to the store would turn into such a bewildering encounter. It was a sunny Saturday afternoon, and I had decided to run some errands, hoping to check off my to-do list quickly and get back home to relax. Little did I know that fate had something entirely different in store for me. As I entered the bustling store, I couldn't help but notice the buzz of activity around me. Shelves lined with neatly arranged items, people bustling about, and the faint aroma of freshly brewed coffee wafting from a nearby CAF. I strolled through the aisles, my mind focused on finding the items I needed, when a woman's voice shattered my tranquility. "Excuse me." A sharp, impatient voice rang out behind me. I turned to see a middle-aged woman, her face twisted with annoyance. "Where can I find the cereal aisle?" Caught off guard by her abruptness, I took a moment to process her words. But before I could respond, she pointed her finger in my direction, an accusatory glare in her eyes. "You! Don't just stand there, do your job and help me." It took me a moment to comprehend what was happening. I glanced down at my casual attire, a far cry from the store uniform, which consisted of a blue polo shirt and khaki pants. I opened my mouth to explain that I was just another customer, but she cut me off with an impatient huff. "I don't have time for your excuses. Take me to the cereal aisle immediately." Her persistence, coupled with her complete disregard for my words, left me dumbfounded. I tried once more, my voice calm but tinged with frustration. "Ma'am, I don't work here. I'm just another shopper like you." Her eyes narrowed as she examined me from head to toe. "Nonsense! You're just trying to shirk your responsibilities. I demand to speak to your manager this instant." I glanced around, hoping for a sign of an actual employee nearby who could intervene and save me from this ludicrous situation. Unfortunately, no such luck. The nearby patrons seemed more engrossed in their own errands, oblivious to the unfolding scene. Taking a deep breath, I decided to take a diplomatic approach. "Look, I understand you're frustrated, but please listen to me. I really don't work here. I'm happy to help if I can, but I'm not an employee." My words, delivered with sincerity, only seemed to infuriate her further. Her face flushed red with anger as she raised her voice, drawing the attention of nearby shoppers. "Stop lying. I will not tolerate such insolence. I'm going to have you fired." Now feeling the eyes of the entire store on me, I could feel my own cheeks growing warm with embarrassment. I contemplated walking away and abandoning my shopping altogether, but a small part of me wanted to stand my ground and prove my point. Summoning my last shred of patience, I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone. If you don't believe me, I can show you my phone, ma'am. There are no work-related emails or messages here. It's just my personal device. Reluctantly, she glanced at the phone, her eyes scanning the screen briefly. Her face slowly transformed from rage to embarrassment, and she took a step back, her voice now meek and apologetic. I'm so sorry. I mistook you for an employee. I didn't mean to cause such a scene. I nodded, accepting her apology, although part of me still felt rattled by the whole ordeal. As she scurried away, seeking solace in the cereal aisle, I took a moment, cut off. Story 4. Gotta love the hospitality industry. I am in restaurant management and have been in the industry for almost 12 years. I am very comfortable in the workplace and walk pretty confidently. I am also very aware of my surroundings, having been burned, run into, dropped things, etc. If you know the industry, we call corner, behind, stick our arms out to let people pass. Anyways, we are on a road trip and driving through a sleepy town and it was getting late. The only thing in town open is Red Lobster. So we go in. It was packed. After we order, I get up to use the restroom. I pass a server with a very full tray and she looked like she was struggling and stuck my arm out to let her through and said, "You good girl?" She laughed and said she was fine. I come out of the restroom and as I'm walking back to the table, this older woman grabs my arm hard and starts screaming about their lack of cheddar biscuits. Total Karen, super aggro. I pull my arm away and say, "Ma'am, I'm so sorry, but I don't work here," kind of chuckling to ease the tension. She proceeds to get angrier. "I saw you help that girl. I know you're the manager. How rude of you to ignore a valued customer." I just laughed and walked away. I walked up to host stand and told the host about what happened just in case the server got shitted on. He asked which table and I casually pointed to it. His response had me on the floor laughing. He rolled his eyes so hard, shaking his head, and says, "Motherfucking Ethel. I'm sorry. She is probably the most evil person on the planet, but her family owns like half the town. Unfortunately we are at her fucking mercy." A few minutes later the manager comes over to our table super apologetic and says he'll comp our meal. I told him absolutely not. I do the same job and have dealt with so much worse. Story 5. Why are you lie? Content. Ich bin 15 und mein Eltern sind leider vor 3 Jahren gestorben, wichtig fr spter. Am Lincoln og habe ich eine Infektion so dass ich nix sehen kann dem og. Ich war in einem Laden etwas essen zu kaufen. Ich war gerade in der Getränkeabteilung und fragte mich, ob Cola Zero oder Cola Light wirklich nicht dasselbe als mir auf einmal geklatscht wurde. Ich dreht mich und wurde sofort angeschrien, na endlich ich wart seit 50 Minuten zeig mir wo die Tiefklabteilung ist. Louis. Ich, immer noch geschockt von dem Schlag Kohlen, ich arbeit hier. Ist mir egal. Es warwerkt. Immer wenn ich was ich sagen wollte schrie sie mich und sagte das sie erst gehen word wenn ich sie bedient habe. De kem endlich ein Mitarbeiter und hat gefragt ob helfen kann. Dies Mitarbeitern weigert sich, mir zu helfen, schrie. Die Karen. Sah mich und dan Karen. Siegt auf mich, sie sind gefeuert. Ich kopiert sofort was vorhat, bit nicht. Da schrie die Karen in gebrochen English, why are you lie? Dan. Kem der Sicherheitsdienst und warf die Karen einfach raus. Ich kann sogar noch herausfinden das Cola Light schmeckt. That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.